about ready. Okay. All right, welcome everybody to the August 15th, 2024 regular Board of Education meeting. In a moment, we'll be heading off to closed session. Before that time will be given to speakers at the discretion of the board chairperson. The law allows the public to address the board on any matters not on the agenda, but the law prohibits action by the board on non-agenda items. Item A, call to order and roll call. Superintendent, will you call roll?
Mr. Clark.
Here.
Ms. Larrett.
Here.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Here.
Mr. Reed.
Here.
Mr. Huey.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. As I mentioned, we'll be heading off to closed session where we will discuss any of the following: student matters, employer-employee relations, conference with legal counsel, conference with real property negotiators, and personnel matters. Public comments for closed session will be given time for. I don't see any in-person public comments. There are no online public comments. In that case, we will be heading off to closed session and back at 6 p.m. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the August 15th, 2024 FCUSD Regular Board of Education meeting. We have just come out of closed session, so we're on to item 4, open session. Superintendent, would you mind calling the roll?
Ms. George.
Here.
Mr. Merrill.
Here.
Mr. Clark.
Here.
Ms. Larrett.
Here.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Here.
Mr. Reed.
Here.
Mr. Huey.
Here.
All are present.
Great. And I realize I went a little out of order, so we've got item D done, but we'll move back up to B, land acknowledgement and pledge of allegiance. We'll start our land acknowledgement with our student board members tonight.
As the Folsom Cordova Unified School District, we acknowledge that our administrative facilities and schools occupy the unceded territory of the Nishinon and Miwok, the original people of the skies, land, and waters, where we work and learn.
We also recognize the presence and ancestral stewardship of the Nishinon ancestral tribes of the Esto, Notamuse, and Nisim and Pewanan to the north.
And the Miwok ancestral tribes and the Amachumne, Consumne, Holpumne, and Makulamene to the south along the Great Sacramento River systems since the time immemorial.
We understand that this land upon which our institutions are built was once flourishing with natural resources and sustained by the ancestral knowledge and practices of these indigenous communities.
We acknowledge the injustices of colonialism and attempted genocide that have impacted these communities and recognize the resilience of their descendants who continue to thrive today.
In our daily endeavors of teaching, learning, leadership, and community engagement, we commit to supporting, respecting, and honoring their culture, traditions, and life ways.
We pledge to work together for the evolving vision of the Miwok and the Nision, especially all future generations.
All right, thank you, Board. And if you'll please stand with me as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That moves us on to item B, broadcast statement. A broadcast and recording is being made at the direction of the board, and the broadcast may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. Folsom Cordova Unified School District Board Policy 1313 promotes mutual respect, civility, and orderly conduct among employees, parents, and the public. We will treat staff, parents, and members of the public with respect and ask the same in return. If any member of the public uses obscenities or communicates in a demanding, loud, insulting, and/or demeaning manner, the board will calmly and politely admonish the person to communicate civilly. Public comments during board meetings are an important component of public engagement and transparency. Members of the public will not be permitted to yield their speaking time to another member of the public. All written comments submitted by 3 p.m. today to the board have been read. Per the Brown Act, the board is not allowed to enter into a two-way discussion on any matter not on the agenda. All right, and we did item D, so we'll move on to item 5, reporting out of closed session. Item A, reporting out of closed session. We do not have anything to report out of closed session today. So on to item 6, adoption of agenda. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll move.
Motion by Ms. Lofthouse.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Clark. Superintendent?
Ms. George.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Ms. Larrett.
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Aye.
Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Mr. Huey.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And on the item 7, special presentations, item A, students, we do not have any student presentations today, nor staff presentations. So then on to item 8, public comment. Time will be given to speakers at the discretion of the board chairperson. The law allows the public to address the board on any matter not on the agenda, but the law prohibits action by the board on non-agenda items. So our first speaker tonight will be Angelica Christensen, followed by Faith Villafana-Smith.
Good evening. My name is Angelica. I have 3 sons, one at Folsom Hills, one at Folsom Middle, and one at Vista. And I'm also an employee as a yard duty. And I'm here because, as we all know, the bus situation was affected. Having the bus route eliminated affected me being able to help Folsom Hills with more time at their school. And it also affected my 2 older kids. And so I'm just asking that the board consider that when we're making these abrupt and hasty plans, like, take into considering your constituents, because this could have been voiced a year ago and given us more time to plan instead of being dished out over the summer where we're in a reactionary state yet again. Just like when we were with the yonder pouches, which, by the way, I feel like if you're complaining that there's no money to pay bus drivers or have bus routes, you didn't collect these yonder pouches or have the schools collect them. And I was told tens of thousands of dollars were spent on them. My child is still sitting in our home, and they could have been collected and sold to other schools that are barely implementing that program. And, I was told other parents came to the last meeting, and so on the first day of school, Mayor Kozlowski, who's the board member for SAC-RT, they created Route 20 for Vista High School, but they left out Folsom Middle School. So I would ask the board to work in tandem with our city council to look out for, again, your constituents, because yes, we had these children, it's our responsibility to get to school, but it's in the board's interest to get these students to school on time, because your funding source is, butts and seats, for lack of better words. And, Folsom Middle School moved advisory where it used to be in the first, at the beginning of the school day. And now we have all these kids that are tardy. Well, the school doesn't mark them tardy if they're coming on the bus. So that works great for the school, but not for the students or the teachers. You're interrupting the teacher. So she may or may not, catch up the student that is late. It interrupts the classroom environment. And these kids, that are barely starting their middle school journey are also, this is their welcome. So I would ask that the school district consider, what are you actually doing to incentivize people to apply for these positions where they can make more money working fast food jobs, for example. You say, oh, we're gonna entice them to do yard duty or food meal service. Well, those jobs are also at the low, bottom of the totem pole. So with that being said, I would just ask that you would put this as an agenda item. I appreciate Mr. Reed did say that at the last meeting, and that you would be more proactive than reactionary. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Faith Villafana Smith, and it looks like maybe Faith's daughter as well. Or, sorry, Earl, you're right behind her. Okay, as you know. Thank you. Welcome, Faith.
Hi, my name is Faith Smith, and I'm currently a junior at Folsom High School. I've spoken up here once before, which was last May, and I spoke about my experience at Folsom High and how I've witnessed and experienced discrimination. When I say that my experience at Folsom High has not been pleasant, I'm not talking about being affected by other students. I'm talking about teachers, vice principals, counselors, the principal, assistant superintendents, office ladies, and many more. One of my teachers influenced students to stop talking to me and to not like me anymore. These people who are established in this school and get paid to help the students are not helping the students. They're ignoring them, hurting them, and even ruining their futures. At Folsom High, we are taught to represent our school well. But what if our school is not well? What if our school is a lie to the outside world? I've been in so many meetings with the principal, the jazz teachers, the vice principals, the track coach, my counselor, the assistant superintendents, and even the top person, the previous superintendent. Through these countless meetings in the past 2 years, no change has happened except for cover-ups and being told that nothing is wrong. If nothing is wrong, then why do I feel so bad when I'm in these meetings? Why do I feel unsafe at my school, and why do I feel unheard? If you have noticed, the websites have changed, the syllabus wordings, and even the mission statement. At least at Folsom High School, these things have changed. These changes are because of the last 2 years, and you may think that these changes are true change, but from how I see it, they are just more cover-ups. I do not want cover-ups for what is going on. I want people to know. I want people to be able to speak up about their problems and not only be heard, I want action to happen when you hear them, when you hear my voice. I told Principal Cadenhead what was happening, and you know what he did? He rolled his eyes at me. Let me remind you all that the jazz teacher put me in a closet. Now, with all that in mind, think about the fact that I'm just one student who has gone through this. I know so many others that have gone through it and are scared to talk about it, and I'm sure that there are many others that I do not know. In fact, I found out that one of my friends from my Girl Scout troop went through the same thing with the principal and the vice principal at Folsom High School. Why are so many of these stories unknown? It is because the administration pushes them to the side and refuses to deal with it. They do not keep the students safe, nor do they listen, and they especially do not take action. It is not just ignoring students, but it is belittling us and teaching us to allow people to belittle us when we go into the outside world after high school. I've been forced to learn to stand up for myself and defend myself against adults, but in doing so, I've also been retaliated against, punished, just for defending myself from the adults who are telling me that I don't matter, that my life does not matter. When I say defending myself, I mean communicating, having meetings, things that they tell us we're supposed to do when stuff like this happens, and yet they just don't want to deal with me. I want to feel safe at my school, and yet I don't. I mean, this year I've already experienced racism, not from students, but once again from staff. My English teacher, who decided it was a good idea to not call on anyone during class, but when it came to the topic of Martin Luther King Jr., she would call on the only 2 Black students in her class. This is the norm for Folsom High School. It is not okay and needs to change. The education system is supposed to be for the students, and the staff are supposed to support the students. So where does the support go? Thank you.
Thank you, Faith. Earl Smith.
Good evening, board, President Huey, Mr. Swatson. Is it right? I'll get better. After I spoke at the last board meeting, I stepped down and I said, because when I make comments about the district, I have to remember our new superintendent is not a part of those complaints. So I want to clarify, when I speak about the district, I am not speaking about the new superintendent. As you heard my daughter speak, it breaks my heart to hear other students that were trying to support Faith through the complaint process also be retaliated against. This district, 4th and 5th grade, requires all students, whether they want to or not, to choose an instrument and participate in learning an instrument. There's many students that don't like music, but yet they have to. And twice a week, they get group instruction. I like that idea. That was one of the reasons that attracted me to come here when my mom was begging us to move here. So then when the student gets to middle school, you have 3 more years. So by the time the student gets to high school, they have 5 years, when most of the other schools barely starting on their instrument when they have an interest in it at high school. This has resulted in what you would say a district or Folsom High being looked at and praised as the best jazz program in the nation. But in my research, I have found that many districts make this claim. And it seems to be it is a con to get parents to give money. So if you have a student that does music in 4th and 5th grade, 3 years in middle school, 4 years in high school, and is a senior this year, and they still are not on the A jazz band. Think about that. What is the pathway to A jazz band? What is the pathway to jazz choir? If a student speaks up against injustices, they're retaliated against. You don't get to go on the same amount of festivals as the other students, even though you're a senior. There's another girl that's in our apartments. She is a freshman. She looks like Faith. Already the mother's had a meeting with the principal. Principal rolls his eyes, brushes her off. It seems to be this is a problem at the school. I'm excited for our new superintendent, because I believe our new superintendent is not going to ignore. And I've been encouraging my daughter as you keep speaking, you keep standing up, I will keep supporting you as your father through these difficult times. And at least, at the absolute least, you can create change for those that look like you, that follow you. Thank you.
Thank you, Earl. All right, I don't see any other public comments in person. Do we have any online? None online. That'll bring us then to item 9, reports of district organizations. We'll start with our Student Advisory Board.
Hello, everybody. Our next SAB meeting will be on September 12th at Cordova High. We will be touring the campus, a new addition to our SAB meetings. They're changing from location to location this year, and we'll be touring the campus of each secondary school in the district. So we're starting out with Cordova High, and after that little tour, we'll be introducing the role of an SAB member to all the students. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And California School Employee Association.
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Swanson. On the 28th of this month, we will be taking a differential agreement for ratification. I just had it in my head. We have a differential settlement for ratification. I'll get back to the other one. I'm drawing a blank right now. I want to thank Christy Van Buren and all the group that helped with PD Days. PD Days went off great for classified staff. We had a lot of good trainings. Everybody, I can't say everybody, a lot of people were happy. Some people may have not been, they had to attend training, but we did do it mandatory, and I hope we do it again this year. It worked well. We did lose a member of our family this past weekend. Roger Lundberg passed away Saturday. He was a member of the negotiating team up until about 1.5 years ago, and a retiree of the district. Just we'd let you guys know. Kind of Article 1 TA will also be up for ratification the 28th of this month. That's all I have to report tonight.
Thank you, Rob. And Folsom Cordova Education Association.
Hey, everybody. All right, well, good evening, family, board members, staff, and teachers. Well, today was the 6th day of school, and last week we started with over 20,000 students and 1,200 certificated staff, and I can't even tell you how many classified. So, which was a pretty smooth start with a few hiccups that I need to give a few shout outs to, starting with our own Rob Korn, who looked after one of our special education teachers so that her students have a workable and comfortable environment. Thank you. Also, thank you to Dr. Ogden and Sharon Diaz for working collaboratively with FCEA and the Folsom Fire Department to start the conversation of what is expected for classrooms. FCA looks forward to continuing dialogue to complete the policies for furniture, fire code, and establishing a norm of what is needed to teach in the 21st century and beyond. Lastly, a huge appreciation for the Benefits Department for continuing to help out our staff as we transition to non-staff. And not to be left out, thank you all to your very tired members, our very tired members who are dealing with the trials and tribulations of starting in a new school year. Know that FCEA sees you and appreciates all that you do for your students. Thank you.
Thank you. Folsom Cordova Leadership Association.
Good evening, President Huey, Mr. Swanson, and distinguished members of the board and guests. It's my privilege to introduce you tonight to Kenny High School, who will be highlighting FCLA and the work that they've done and the accomplishments. So I'm going to ask Principal Sims to come on up and Assistant Principal Borth to join him as well.
Good evening. So we'd just kind of like to highlight some of the things that Kenny's been able to do in the last year and what we hope to build upon for the future. So looking at priority 1, empowering students' growth and success. Really what makes Kenny different is we're a place where students can recover their credits that they may need to make up in order to graduate from here and get back to their comprehensive sites or graduate with us. But really it's so much more, and it's about building that close family and how we serve our students to support them and getting them to where they want to be. So nearly all of our classes are ADG now. especially for those students who are returning to return to the comprehensive sites and go on to a university. We have full inclusion for our students with IEPs and emerging bilinguals, as well as supports in those classes to make sure that everyone is experiencing success. Under priority 2, when we're looking at how we engage our community and our families, it's been a huge focus. We've been lucky enough to have apply for the community school grant, and Ms. Emma Falcone has our community school facilitator and has done a phenomenal job building that. Matter of fact, the mural that the kids are working on there was created because of Emma Falcon's work there. And we've also looked at how we are expanding our mental health services and how we can support our students engaging in more athletics. That's been a big concern for our school. Looking at fostering a diverse and inclusive and thriving work environment. We've been working with our teachers who have been part of our guiding coalition, and this is year 3 to look at how we improve our professional learning community and how we can provide everyone high-level access to the curriculum, as well as how we build a community and what it looks like, because we are a diverse school and we're a diverse group of people, and how we represent that culture and learn from each other. So this year we have 4 ethnic days, as you can see up there. We invite you all to come out and join us. I'll be sending out invites here shortly. If you haven't been, they are fantastic. It's always a lot of food and a lot of learning and a lot of good time. It's probably one of the best things we do. Looking at priority, is this you? All right, go ahead, Suzanne. Sorry.
So we've been working a lot on our systems and procedures that will meet more students' needs more quickly. And 2 that we wanted to celebrate this year is a 6% growth in our attendance. Attendance is very hard at alternative education settings because it's generally students that have lost some buy-in around school and their own confidence in doing it. So our number 1 priority is getting them there. And we made a lot of movement forward with the help of ADP, community schools, and every staff member on our campus. Our teachers really worked hard on it as well. And even with the return to 200 credits after 4 years of 130 under COVID, we had the largest graduating class since we moved to direct instruction more than 10 years ago. 70% of our seniors at the end of the year graduated, and everyone either had a soft handoff to adult ed or senior extension or is still matriculated at our school. There's graduation this year. We have to move to a bigger venue last year because we broke fire code at City Hall. And one of those that did not graduate with us because she, like so many of our students, actually returned to Cordova High for a comprehensive high school graduation. We need to start tracking those kids and add them to our list, is Gabby Bernal Ramirez, who is here with us today. And she was chosen for our region of AXA as the scholarship winner for everyone from Northern Central California. And she got a sizable check, and she is one of 15 that is now going to be at the state, going up for a scholarship at the AXA convention in October. So they made this professional video for that activity, and so I hope to share it with you today. Sometimes a special person comes through, and Gabby is one of them. She's just a miraculous young woman.
I was born in Culiacan, Sinaloa, Mexico. What I remember about Mexico was that it was a very bright place for me. I was surrounded by my family. I came to the United States around 7 and 8. Coming here was hard because, first of all, the language barrier, and we didn't know anyone here other than like a couple people. Anxiety was a really big thing in my life, and it still shows up sometimes. I feel like it's something you can't really get rid of, and it's just always there.
And we talk about how to view self-improvement, how to work through things, what things might come up, what are some techniques and different options that you have as a young person.
Kinney Continuation High School is special because of the people.
I feel lucky to be able to support them and encourage them and show them a face that does believe in them, that doesn't have judgments of them.
Mental health is important because the way that you see things and the way you take things in really affects the way how you perceive life. It is possible to be better, and things will get better no matter how dark it seems.
So we just wanted to celebrate Gabby with her family. Her mom, who has been an amazing volunteer, was on our ELAC and was our DLAC representative, and her dad and her brothers, who also attend FCUSD school. I'm really proud of you, lady.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, congratulations, Gabby. What a great honor and reward. So we wish you the best of luck as you're moving forward, it sounds like, and with the other 15 students. That's really wonderful. If it's okay, we'd love to take a picture with you. Is that, and your family? Is that okay? Okay.
All right, I'll stop talking and take a picture already, okay, all right. Oh, what a great picture. I wanted to do, okay? All right, here, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do two. I'm gonna do two. Oh, don't move, don't move. Okay, now you're gonna need to squish. There you go, there you go. Okay, all right. Here we go. My apologies behind me. One moment, please. One moment. And then, you know what? I'm gonna ask you all to stay here for anybody else. So don't move. Anybody else? Good? We're good? All right, congratulations. All right, thank you.
That's wonderful, and congratulations once again. Thank you for the presentation tonight. I wanted to just throw it out to the board if there were any questions for Kenny. Yeah,
Just one quick question. What's your enrollment right now?
Right now, we have 88 students at Kenny, and we have a couple more intakes coming up in the next 2 days.
Is that about an average start to the year, or is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
It grows throughout the year. Yeah, so good. Thank you again. Appreciate it. All right, that moves us to item 10, agenda consent. Oh, my apologies. DLAC, District English Learner Advisory Committee. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Good evening, Superintendent Swanson, President of the Board Hui, members of the board, and my esteemed colleagues. I have a couple of items today for DLAC really quickly. On Tuesday, September 10th at 5:30, we will have our first DLAC meeting for the year officially. Prior to that, we meet with officers to revisit our original ideas based on some needs assessment and start plotting our planning for parent summits and other events throughout the year. I have some happy news, which is my second announcement. On behalf of Amanda Turks, our health coordinator, and myself, I would like to take this opportunity to extend our deepest gratitude to our Ana Silvia Pimentel for her extraordinary actions that saved the life of a student having a medical emergency this week. Ana Silvia is a dedicated Peter J. Shields paraeducator, a parent at Mitchell Middle School and Peter J. Shields, and she is our esteemed DLAC president. You've seen her here before. Her quick thinking, calm demeanor, and life-saving skills, she demonstrated are a testament to her commitment to the safety and the well-being of our students. Ana Silvia credited, upon being thanked and appreciated, she credited her successful response to the CPR training that she received from Folsom Cordova, the health services team. She highlighted how important this training is to our community, and she was grateful to be a person who can benefit from that training. We are incredibly proud to have Ana Silvia Pimentel as part of our school family, our district family, and certainly as our president of DLAC. Her heroic actions serve as an inspiration to myself, and I know to us, and is a reminder of the profound impact that we can have on our students and the lives of each other. So thank you to her, and thank you. That's my report.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Thank you for sharing that story. Okay, now that moves us to item 10, agenda consent. All items listed on agenda consent will be acted on by one motion without discussion unless there's a board member who would like to pull any of the items. Are there any items a board member plans on pulling? I don't see anybody. In that case, is there a motion to approve the agenda consent? All right, motion by Mr. Clark.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Lofthouse. Superintendent Swanson.
Ms. George?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Ms. Larrett?
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Hui?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Great, thank you. And Superintendent Swanson, I believe we do have an introduction after passing the agenda consent.
Thank you, President Hui. We are introducing a new head coach for Folsom High School. His name is Sal Rivera. Unfortunately, Sal had a family emergency. He was supposed to be here and he's not, but I'm still going to go ahead and read Sal's bio. The Folsom Cordova Unified School District is pleased to announce Sal Rivera as the new head baseball coach for Folsom High School for the 2024-25 season. Coach Rivera has coached baseball for 12 years at the high school level and played baseball for over 15 years. For the past 5 years, Coach Rivera has been at Vista del Lago High School as the head baseball coach. During his time at Vista del Lago High School, he has developed a strong playoff culture and made tremendous connections with student athletes. He's excited to join Folsom in the Sierra Foothill League at the Division I level, but will miss his Vista Eagles family. He'll continue to support baseball development in Folsom and cheer for both programs. Coach Rivera brings extensive experience from coaching at the freshman, JV, and varsity levels with a deep understanding of player development. His offensive philosophy is rooted in old school principles emphasizing controlled chaos, bunting, hitting, and running, aggressive base running, and creating opportunities to get players on base. Coach Rivera is dedicated to building rapport and trust with his players, guiding them through a process designed to enhance their skills and unlock their full potential. Sal is married and lives in Folsom. He loves the idea of making connections with student athletes in our community. Please join us in welcoming Coach Rivera to Folsom High School, where his expertise and passion for baseball will be a tremendous asset to the program.
All right, and welcome, welcome to Folsom High, at least, Coach Rivera. Looking forward to seeing that controlled chaos in the field at Folsom High. Thank you, Mr. Swanson. All right, that brings us to item 11, public hearing. I'll be gaveling into the public hearing. And item A, public hearing, Sufficiency of Instructional Materials, Textbooks and Instructional Materials Act. I'll hand it over to you again, Mr. Swanson.
Dr. Huber?
Yes, so this is basically every year we have to provide this to out to the public that our schools are meeting our requirements in terms of instructional materials for students.
Great. This is coming right back to the board under discussion action. I will entertain any public comment now for this item. I don't see any in person. Is there any online? No, okay. In that case, we'll be gaveling out of public hearing and moving on to item 12, discussion action. Item A, adoption resolution number 08-15-2409 regarding sufficiency of instructional materials, textbooks, and instructional materials act.
So again, we do meet the requirements in terms of we do have appropriate instructional materials at all our schools. We'll be going through several of our schools, the Williams audit that happens every year as well. We'll be reporting that back to you as well in the coming weeks.
Great. Any questions from the board? I've not seen any. I don't see any. Well, we did pick public comment during public hearing, but I don't see any public comment here either way. Any final comments from the board? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll move.
All right, motion by Ms. Larrett. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Lofthouse. Superintendent.
Ms. George?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Ms. Larrett?
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Hui?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, thank you, board. It moves us on to item 13, discussion. Item A, annual board report for Folsom Cordova Community Charter and New Pacific Charter Schools. And Mr. Huber, I think we're going right back over to you again. Dr. Huber, sorry.
Yes, good evening, President Hui, members of the board, Superintendent Swanson. We are going over our first ever annual charter oversight progress report with the board this evening. Just for your information, this will be items on that will be coming to us every single year with our charter schools. We have New Pacific Charter, obviously, and we have Folsom Cordova Community Charter. In years that you are not taking action to actually approve renewal, these items will basically come to you as information items or under consent. But we won't be doing this, but since this was our first one, we wanted to just kind of take and went through the process so people understood what was happening. So, I was gonna say, what's the trick? The reports, the two reports that were attached also were created in conjunction with the consultant group that we work with, the California Charter Authorizing Professionals Group. We have contracted with them because basically the charter process was definitely new for Folsom Cordova in terms of bringing on an independent charter from an outside organization. And that also kind of helped us in terms of looking at our own charter, Folsom Cordova Community Charter, which has been a school in our district since 2004, but one that we somewhat treated as just another one of our schools, and probably we needed to do some different work with them because they were a charter. So both those schools were included in this report and have been working with us and the consultant agency. So there's some elements of the overview. The process we've already gone through is, of course, the petition part, which was you all going through that process and deciding whether or not to grant the petition. We're currently right now in the oversight portion, and those are the years from petition to renewal. Every year, site admin, as well as the school sites, engage in kind of a back and forth collaborative process as we visit the sites, we look through their materials, we do some classroom visits and observations, and that's the process of building the reports that were included. I'm having no luck with this clicker. There we go. So this was what I was referring to just a few minutes ago when I couldn't get the slide to change. So again, in terms of the components, we're visiting the sites. Sometimes those are scheduled and sometimes those are just drop-ins. I want to really give a shout out to both schools in terms of really being welcoming, whether or not we just showed up on the doorstep or if it was something scheduled. Desk audits are things like, looking at their LCAP materials, looking at how IEPs are implemented, et cetera. Of course, progress monitoring in terms of are they fulfilling the things that were listed in the charter petition. Again, the formal and informal site visits, as well as assurances made by the schools and by their officials in those original petitions. So first off is Folsom Cordova Community Charter. Obviously, this is the school that's been part of our district for many, many years. At the time of the reports that were attached, the enrollment at Folsom Community Charters was 172 students. And this is basically our home school program, as all of you know, in terms of faculty and staff at the charter supporting parents who are homeschooling their students. We provide the curriculum, we provide guidance, we provide tutoring and assistance to parents who are homeschooling their students. Oh, good. There are 5 guiding questions in terms of the overview process that we go through every year. Is the charter school's education program a success? Is it financially viable? Is the charter school operating and governed effectively? Is the charter school serving public policy? And is the charter on track for renewal? The reason we use the color coding is that when you look at the reports that were attached, the color coding refers to whether or not there has been growth or progress in those areas. And so the orange means progressing, the green is yes, and then the blue also is yes in terms of whether or not they're meeting. So for Folsom Cordova Community Charter, the first question, educational program is being a success. It's progressing. There's definitely areas that you'll see from the report where there's areas of strength, but there are also areas that we want to focus on. Is the school financially viable? Yes, it is. There is also areas for growth there in terms of we want to attract more students and families to the school to help its viability. Is it operating and governed effectively? We're progressing in this area. Is the charter school serving the public purpose? Again, we're progressing, and some of those areas are called out in the report. And then, is it on track for renewal? And yes, the school is on track for renewal. So good things are happening at Folsom Community Charter, and we're really happy with kind of the track, the new principal, fairly new principal. Mercedes has been there for a couple of years now, and the school is taking, because we really are kind of fully redoing that school in terms of bringing things up to date since the charter was first established back in 2006. New Pacific Charter. So New Pacific Charter is the charter school that the board authorized last year, and it serves a TK through 5 grade level. At the time of the report, there was 103 students. This is an academy that is based on the idea of that academic triangle. And during the petition process, they spoke to the different programs that they have in their school makeup, if you will, in terms of how they engage kids and the learning that happens on their campus. In terms of the report, in terms of our 5 questions, is this charter school and educational program a success? Because it's year 1, there's actually not a lot of data. And again, that's revealed when you read that report. So there's not a lot for us to look at there. One area of concern for us is the second question, is the charter school financially viable? And actually right now it does not currently meet standard. For 4 main points in terms of why we had to list this as not meeting the standard. They're over budgeted in enrollment. The UPP is lower than what they projected, which impacted some of the funding that they received. They're not meeting the attendance goals that they had at the time when the petition was filed. And then the charter is actually dependent on the Pacific Charter Institute for another loan to kind of make them financially viable, because currently they are in deficit spending. Again, in terms of the other aspects of the school, is the charter school operating and governed effectively, serving public purposes, and is it on track for renewal? All those elements, again, you'll see in that comprehensive report, they are progressing, but this is definitely an area of concern, is the financial aspect. Oh, there we go. And that is it for the overview of our first ever annual report for our charter schools. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Huber. Any questions from the board? Mr. Reed.
Just a quick question. I thought when New Pacific was approved, wasn't it approved for a K-8? Or was it K-5?
Actually, Mr. Reed, I would have to go back and look. I think it was K-8 if I recall, and then we're going to add on the high school, but Dr. Kiefer, I believe, is in the audience.
Oh, it was
Yeah, but
okay.
Right, but we had not moved toward the high school piece yet, as of yet. So originally it was starting off as the focus as the elementary level.
And grow over time. Got it. Okay.
I just have one question. With the changes that are happening at Folsom Community Charter, can you expand at all on that?
It's been a long time since the charter was first granted. And we had, as a district, we kind of treated that school as basically one of our schools. And in the process, as we've gone through and learned more about the charter aspects and some of the legalities of the laws, and a lot of things have changed over the course of the years, we didn't really keep up with what those changes are that are required. And so as we've been going through that process with New Pacific, it forced us to reflect on where we were with the charter. So things like, something as simple as, what's the format and what's the form for parents if they wanted to disenroll their student, or in terms of enrollment, are we hitting all the legal requirements? So this process has helped us tighten up our own ship in that regard. And so there are a number of things we're working on. The format and the structure has not changed, but we're just kind of bringing up to date because we hadn't really done that as a district for many years.
Okay.
I'm not seeing any other questions from the board. I don't see any public comment here, any online? Nope. It's just discussion, and it sounds like this would not be coming back to us for any sort of action. So Dr. Huber, thank you for the presentation, much appreciated. And then that'll bring us to item 14, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, President Hui. I'll make my report brief tonight. 2 weeks ago, we were on the precipice of opening our doors of our schools, and the week that we started last week, I had this amazing opportunity to do a welcoming address to a full room here, and then our school sites were viewing online. And I only bring that up to say that when I did that, I wanted to talk about all the training that was happening over the summer and all the learning and all the work that was going on. And as I was listing it, I was just overwhelmed by how focused this team is. You heard Rob mention that his team really enjoyed some professional development. So I just wanted to publicly, to the board, just acknowledge our classified, certificated, administrative teammates and all of their hard work to get ready for the school year and a really overall smooth open. And the last thing I'll say is that we are hovering, I don't have the exact data. I really wish I had the exact data, but we're hovering around 22,000 students in enrollment. And I believe that would be a historical high for us. And I'm all about that. So when I get confirmation, hopefully in 2 weeks, we've eclipsed 22,000 enrolled as one of the very few districts that is growing in our state, because I would argue the best teammates and the best community to work and serve in. And then Rob acknowledged the passing of Roger Lundberg. I just also wanted to say, I didn't know Roger myself, but I heard so many great things about what a great teammate he was for the classified employees in our district. So just acknowledge that as well. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Swanson. All right, and that brings us then to item 15, board member report. We'll start with our student board members. Mr. Merrill.
I will also keep mine short since this is the shortest meeting so far. We'll keep it that way. At Cordova, right after the last board meeting, we had our freshman orientation, which was a very big success. Our link crew worked very well with the incoming class of 2028. Pretty sure it's 2028. And our link crew is also planning to go to the students' advisories because it's based on class periods, the new advisories at Cordova High, so we can kind of check in with them from time to time. Speaking of the new advisory, the first week of school it's been very smooth, but a little busy and packed because we have so many new things at Cordova, like the fence, advisory, and our incoming flex time in the second quarter, as well as a lot of schedule changes. I really hope our counselors catch a break this upcoming week because I know there's been a lot of schedule changes. There has been mixed feelings about both advisory and the fence in the student populace, but I'm sure that will sort of calm down, or it won't, and we'll be hearing from a few students in the coming board meetings. But yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Merrill. Ms. George.
So I will also keep mine very short, but going on at Folsom High School, the fences, we're still building them. Very mixed feelings. We've always had a very open campus. Anyone can walk in. I'm glad that we're trying to make it more safer. But yeah, and we just changed to the new bell schedule. So Thursdays are our short days now. People are still getting used to it. I don't know exactly how I feel about it, but I know exactly why we're doing it, and I'm glad we are. So I hope everyone also feels that way. And one more thought about the buses, even though we've talked about them a lot, especially at the last board meeting. I noticed that when Kinney High School, they said that they had a 6% increase in attendance. We all clapped for them, but then also at the same time, are not allowing the kids who don't have the buses to get to school and have that same sort of attendance. And I just think that's something to think about. Like, I know it's only a few kids who are affected, but I just noticed that at this meeting that everyone clapped for the 6% increase when even that very small percentage of kids who can't arrive to school because of the buses. I know I've always had to figure out a way to get to school, especially when I was younger, so those buses could really impact a lot of people, even though it may not impact us as much. But yeah, so that's all. Thank you.
Ms. Lofthouse.
I don't have a report this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Laird?
Nothing too much. It was fun being on campuses last week. I was at elementary, middle school, high school, and the kids were, I was actually surprised at how calm it was, to be honest with you. The kids seemed to be like ready to rock and roll. The teachers, the administrators were all out greeting kids, and it was just a great experience. I love going to elementaries, red carpets out and cheerleaders, and then you kind of get through to the high school level, but I got to take one kid to his class because he asked for me to escort him to his class because he was worried he couldn't find it. So great week, and it was really, really fun. So I hope that we continue on the path of calm as we go through the year.
Thank you. Mr. Reed?
No report tonight.
Great. Mr. Clark?
I can't wait to get back out into the schools. I'll be starting my visits next week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But I want to give a special shout out to our new superintendent who took the time out to work with Falcon Academy in their robotics program, which is near and dear to my heart, to find them a new home. And you did it really, really quick. It took a matter of, I think, hours that you found that. So I just want to give kudos to Eric for working so hard on that and making sure that we have a continuance of the robotic program. And it is in the middle school system. So hopefully we get students that are interested in that and continue to build that program. Other than that, I can't wait until football, Peter. All right.
All right, thanks, Mr. Clark. All right, for my report, I've been told I'm supposed to speak for an hour and 10 minutes so that we hit our normal time limit. But no, I certainly joking about that. I just very quickly, you mentioned it was a couple weeks ago, I think, that we had our welcoming for our staff for starting the new school year. It's hard to believe that's already a couple weeks behind us. But just one quick thing from that, Mr. Corney, I know you came up and spoke during that meeting. Your words have really stuck with me, so I just want to appreciate you for that. And the main message coming from that was just as a body, we can all really bring kindness to one another this year. So that's my goal. I appreciate you calling us to that, and hopefully that is something that we can pull off. And I've heard that expressed already in this first week of school throughout campuses. So appreciate all the staff, the teachers, the students that are embodying that as well. Other than that, that is it for my report, which brings us then to item 16, advanced planning. Item A, our next board meeting is September 5th, right back here in this room. Item B, 12-month board calendar. That's there for your review with the items that we'll be covering in the upcoming board meetings. Go to item C, suggested future agenda items. There's a list of the suggested items for review, but also we'll entertain any other suggested future agenda items by board members. Okay, not hearing any. So then we will move on to, actually we don't need to go back to closed session because we finished our business there. So we'll go to item 21, which is adjournment. And Mr. Corn, you mentioned it, and Mr. Swanson, you mentioned the passing of a CSEA member, Roger Lundberg. So I'd just like to end our meeting tonight in honor of Roger Lundberg. And so with that, unless there's any objection, we will adjourn. All right, we're adjourned.